We ready to go, Rob? Oh, we're stuck or something?
Testing.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry for the slight delay, technical difficulties. And we'll move on. And I would like to go ahead and stand and have a moment of silence, and then we'll have the pledge. Pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Village of Ruidoso workshop meeting. And can I get a roll call, please, ma'am?
Mayor Crawford,
Here.
Councilor Eby, Councilor Letterman. Here. Councilor Salas.
Here.
Councilor Hooker.
Here.
Councilor Jackson.
Here.
Councilor Corey.
Here.
Mayor,
All
you
right.
have a quorum.
Thank you, everyone. And now then we'll go look at the first agenda items. And again, remember, we're not making any decisions except for whether it's a regular or consent. So first one is discussion on request to schedule public hearing on July the 9th, 2024 for ordinance 2024-04, amending the Village of Ruidoso Code of Ordinance, Chapter 86, Utilities, specifically Sections 86 through 1 through 86 through 12, and Sections 86-31 through 86-33, Section 86-63, and providing for Appendix U, water rates, structure, and Appendix A, fines, fees, and penalties, Chapter 70, excuse me. Solid waste, specifically Section 70 through 15 through 70 through 17, and providing for Appendix A, fines, fees, and penalties, and Chapter 54, land use, specifically Section 54-404, and providing for Appendix A, fines, fees, and penalties. Yes, ma'am, Christella?
Morning, Mayor and Council. We're requesting a hearing so that you can consider rate increase on the utilities and side of the House. I tried to prepare a draft little handout so that when you speak with the public, if they have questions about what the overall proposed rate will have on their bill, you'll be able to kind of give them a quick idea of what we're looking at. So I included the draft ordinance, some of the changes that we were going to be making to the ordinance with the price increases, and then just some grammatical changes. So I didn't know if you had any questions or if there's anything I can clarify or prepare prior to the council meeting.
And I just asked Christella when we visited the other day to put this cursory together, because you will get it. People asking a lot of different questions, but you can see it's been a long time. Wastewater since 2010, water since 2014. That's hard to believe it's been that long. Anyway, so that you're just armed with better information
Is this all tied to, or in line with the survey,
The master plan?
Yes.
This is in line with the master plan that was done for each of the.
So when we get to finally settle on the rate, these are your
okay.
talking points to say, hey,
Griselda, who's going to actually be presenting this? You?
Probably Adam and myself, and then we will probably have Sauter Miller and Raftelis available, I would hope in person, if not by Zoom.
And how are we communicating to the village customers?
Well, at this point,
we haven't done anything
we haven't
yet.
done anything other than an article in the newsletter last month, and then we're adding another one with more information this month. I kind of just wanted to vet some of the information with you guys about what we're going to be expecting, and then I will include more detail, but we haven't had any public hearings to talk about it or any informational hearings at this point.
Mayor, have you received any feedback from?
Just when we've brought it up a few times on the radio, talking about things that this is coming, when people come that they just think that we should keep the water rates low, they think the village is doing fine the way it is, even though they realize everything else has exploded. And so to not get in financial, that's what we have to prepare today for tomorrow. So financially, it would be irresponsible if we weren't doing this. And by law, we're required. I also reminded them that we put a stay after the last CPI jumped so much, we held it. And that we've done everything we can, but unfortunately, this is where we're at. So once you have that chance to talk to them, and that's why I wanted her to put this together, that we've done these things, but everything else has gone up.
Mayor Crawford, Councilor Corey, Mayor Crawford started with the State of the Village. In his presentation that evening, he mentioned that we're looking at our utility rates are going to go up, and we started at that point. And then again on the radio show, we're trying to have that conversation and let listeners know, and then of course on the newsletter. So.
And then we've kind of stopped and started and stopped and whatever with the times, but.
Yeah, because when they first pitched it to us, it was even way more than this.
Yes, and it was supposed to start last year.
Yeah, it was way bigger. And we said, well, wait a minute now, we all.
What's the $17 fee?
There was that $17 fee that you
Wastewater.
guys took back from wastewater, so
Yeah.
that's why that looks like it jumped so much. If you look at it, it's really only
$2.
$2, but because we're having to add in the 17, that's why it looks so terrible. But, when you look at water being a 12% increase, but then you look at really only increases your bill by $4, I kind of wanted to, you have to put in perspective
Right.
what that means.
Well, Mayor Costello, I wondered too, when we finally get this nailed down and it becomes final, if we could have a letter, just something simple that would emphasize that many of these things were 10 years in arrears for any adjustments, because that way they would understand it. I mean, a grocery store is much more now than it was even 5 years ago,
Oh,
let
yes.
alone 10 years. So when you put it in that perspective, I think it makes it easier for people to understand it. We just didn't vicariously decide we're going to bump these rates, suddenly.
And this money doesn't go for housing or
No.
anything like
No,
that.
it's
It
only
is
for-
totally to go back into
The
our
enterprise.
coffers so that we can maintain our infrastructure.
And no one misses water and sewer until they don't have it.
Yes. And I did some financial analysis that I wanted to present, but I want to double check with Judy because I don't want to give out incorrect information, but we're looking at, personnel costs in some areas up 34%. And then, even the cost for maintenance going up almost 300%. So I wanted to make sure those numbers were real before I put it out there. So I'm going to work with Judy on that, but I'm putting together a presentation that kind of looks at, and that was just over the last 3 fiscal years. It wasn't
Yeah.
over this entire period of time that we're looking at.
So those are things that we want to really get together, then we'll go out, we'll have some in the newsletter, because people seem to read that more than they do anything.
Wow.
So we'll make sure we try to get that narrative in there as compact as we can.
And this is a public hearing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
So they could come in
And we can mention that in the newsletter so they'll be
Yes.
aware.
yeah.
and really enforce that we never really, or we didn't, reduced the solid waste, or not solid waste, the wastewater, $17. It was just suspended on that
Yes.
part. Because overall, I mean, looking at if it was still in there, it's only really going up about $10, $10 or $12. But adding the $17 back in there comes up to like $27 more on a basic water bill. And I'm using my water bill as an example, but.
And that's the total bill?
That's the total bill
$27.
that, you know, of course, staying under the usage of the 3,000 and
Yeah.
all that. So, and that was the questions I was getting from the second homeowners that only come up in the summer.
Right.
How much is my absent bill? Because I recall there was a time where people were just having their meters shut off
Oh, yeah.
and then coming back and, I'll pay the $150 to turn it back on, and they were, you know, they weren't paying for 3 or 4 months, so that's something that just really should get out there to the public, that, hey, wait a minute, you know, we never really lowered that rate, we just suspended it. Now we're seeing the need to come up and do that, but had that still been in there, that's where I'm getting at. The overall bill at the minimum is only going up $10 or a little over $10.
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, just, we wanted to ask your direction also because we're going to see a rate increase for the next several years, the way the rate study is set up. So a lot of entities, they have that already within the ordinance stating that it's going to go up the following years, but or do we come back and do the public hearing every year? So we just wanted also to ask council what your direction was on that.
Well, personally, I think that, because we've talked about this, and one of the biggest, when people see me and say, you know, what's going on, what are y'all talking about raising our water rates again? Because that's all they think about is that bill's the water rate, is I pay my taxes, and people still don't, even though we've discussed it many times, what the taxes, we're operating off GRT, but that this is an enterprise fund that's just repair and replacement.
Correct.
And so we've got to keep pushing that narrative, and even though we've done it, we still have people don't understand.
I don't think people understand that enterprise has to support itself. It's
Right.
not the village supporting it. So if we're not bringing in any money, then the village is supplementing it with general funds, and I don't think they understand.
And I'll just let you know, it's the same people that tell me, you need to pay the employees more money, you got to pay them more money, and when we pay more money, this is how we pay more money. And then the light goes on.
And then if you look at, on the last sentence of that page, the overall bill will be about $139 a month, which to me is pretty cheap, given where, you know, my other residents in Belen, I pay over $200 a month.
Yeah.
And I don't get any forestry or
Just
anything
for
like that.
water?
Well, just for.
Trash.
use and everything, but it's
Trash.
200.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
whole
yeah,
utility
It's
part.
200.
Yeah.
Well, you're rich then if you got two houses.
Well, I think Judy even said La Luz is
Yeah.
more.
And that was just for water, what Judy is paying at La Luz.
But where we're looking at also addressing some of the things, because then the discussion becomes short-term rentals, blah, 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 increase in trash. So
Yep.
we're reevaluating that with the
The
committee
fees.
and whatever to
Yes.
come
Yeah.
back to the council to start with additional fees for those. So that,
Which we've discussed.
yes,
Well, in my travels this week in Arizona, there was communities that we were in that because we were a visitor, we had a tax imposed on us just to stay in a hotel, just to do vending and that kind of stuff.
wow.
Which I was like, well, there you go. That's kind of a way to look at it, is people always talk about our short-term rentals and our visitors. Well, have them pay a little more.
But we do have, and that's the same
Some,
thing as that we do.
Like
Lodger's
lodger's
tax.
tax.
Yeah,
But this one,
This was in addition, this is a
Specific.
value-added tax,
Yep.
yeah.
okay.
Oh,
Nothing says like you're welcome, except for like a $20 parking fee and an extra percentage
Give us
says,
some more money.
welcome.
Well, and the other thing I was hoping we could do is, you know, I think in the past, we haven't always had the opportunity to uniformly apply the ordinance as it should be. So I'm hoping this is a reset so that we have the ability to enforce the provisions in the ordinance, you know, when it comes to late fees and reconnection fees, because at a lot of times we're not always doing that uniformly. So I'm hoping this gives us an opportunity for a reset. We've looked at everything, these are the fees, if it's approved, then we can move forward with it.
Well, and where I was going and I got lost was, I think that it should, just every year or whatever, that it's reviewed, that if it needs a gradual increase, that we move, that's what I think, rather
Okay.
than go through all this pain.
Yes.
Because a lot of people, honestly,
I already got that.
they've talked about it because it's been brought up, and they try to tie it to the other elections. And then, but it's only brought up now because we've been talking about it.
I'll include language in the ordinance that talks about in subsequent years, and I've gotten some language from Sauter Miller too, that we can use as
Well, Mr. Mayor Christillo, it seems to me when we reviewed this at least twice, there was some discussion on the rate studies for water use for commercial.
They talked about changing the tier structure on
Right.
commercial. But
Yes.
they didn't feel like we had enough data to do it at this time, so they were hoping to change that within next year, not this year. Sauter Miller didn't, and Ralph Tellis didn't feel like they were ready to make those recommendations at this point.
And I would just say, with everything the state does to get businesses on additional fees, services, inspections, you know, it's already hard to be a small business.
Right.
And so just I'd like to keep that in mind, because I've been down there for a long time, used to, and sometimes nobody was there when it wasn't good. You know, you still paid your bills. Okay, so, this one will obviously be on regular.
I wish.
Consent and wish.
Exactly. Let's just go
Con-
right over
Well,
that.
actually, it is a consent.
consent
because
item.
we're scheduling.
The hearing itself is consent, yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be for July, yes.
Yeah, this one's a consent for whatever, yeah. So she thought she was funny and she's just.
Yeah, dadgum.
Item number 2, discussion on task order RFP number 2021-007P-11, Amendment to Riverwell H 1979-S3, rehabilitation, and H 1979-S13 cleanout and pumping test with John Shoemaker and Associates, Inc. for the extension of time from June 2024 to September 2024. Ashley?
Good morning, Mayor and
Good
Council.
morning.
Good morning.
This is just to increase the task order for John Shoemaker. We still have ongoing construction. Their task order is getting ready to lapse, so this is just for them to be able to continue observing over. It's not going to be an increase in financial.
Just time extension.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is for the clean out in the river in Upper Canyon?
This is.
No, Riverwell B, go ahead, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
this is at Riverwell, so this is at the Winter Park. The
Got
well
it.
that we're rehabbing right
Yep,
next to the
okay.
river.
Yes. And so, you know, we had some issues and
Yep.
whatever there. Okay, so where do you want this?
Consent.
Consent. Item number 3, discussion on task order RFP number 2023-013P-2 with Henninghausen, Olson, and McCray LLP for professional legal services and water rights attorney for the Village of Ruidoso in the amount of $80,000, including New Mexico GRT.
This is the task order for fiscal year '25. This is just they can continue providing legal services for the village.
Everybody's got that one down.
Consent.
Consent.
Okay, item number 4, discussion on task order RFP number 2022-004P-SMA-02 Amendment 2, Master Planning and Rate Analysis with Sauter Miller and Associates, SMA, for an extension of time from June 2024 to December 2024.
This is just a request to extend the time on the task order because we haven't adopted the the updated rates, and I haven't had time to fully review the master plans. I wanted to give more time on this task order so that we could keep them under contract for that period of time.
Questions? Where do we want it? Consent?
Consent.
Item number 5, discussion on joint funding agreement number 24RGJFA23 with the United States Department of Interior, United States Geological Survey, USGS, for the operation of the USGS stream flow and precipitation gauges with the village cost share of $56,364.00.
This is just our annual agreement with the USGS. This allows them to operate the 6 USGS stations that were required per our permits.
Okay?
So actually, on the gauge on your memorandum, the Rio Ruidoso, near Ruidoso, that's the Upper Canyon?
That's
gauge,
the Upper
so-
Canyon one.
Okay,
And it was temporarily down while we were doing construction, but it should be back up now.
okay. Just wanted to be sure that that wasn't another one or something.
And then we have one behind the tire store.
Yeah, so that one's Hollywood gauge, and then we
Okay.
have the Buck Mountain snow gauge, and then we have a couple in the North Fork area.
Yes.
So the one that, the Hollywood is the one that allows us to divert. Where I always argued the one up at the reservation line should be the one that they measure and let us divert it all.
Consent?
Consent?
Yep.
Okay, item number 6. Discussion on task order RFP number 2022-006P-MCA-01, Amendment 3 Eagle Creek Wellfield Phase 3 with Mosen Corbin and Associates for an extension of time from June 2024 to October 2024.
The reason for this time extension is we're still waiting for our panel for one of our electrical components, and so this is just increasing the time for our engineers to continue doing project oversight, making sure that project gets completed.
And we have checked,
Mayor, council, I checked with Ricky LeMay, and he was waiting on the parts, and he just said it's been frustrating just ordering, just like we spoke about with our waters, all our utilities, is trying to get the parts in. It's just incredible, it's just crazy.
And all the Eagle Creek wells, the fire didn't come near?
Nope, we're good.
Okay, good.
consent.
Consent?
Consent.
Number 7, discussion on task order RFP number 2024-004P-01 with Cobb, Finley and Associates, Inc. to create the Rio Ruidoso Watershed Base Plan in the amount of $197,438.94, $197,438. I don't have my glasses on. 100, I don't know why I
It's
can't
got
see it.
extra
438.
there. There's a zero at
And
the,
nine, it's 109, it's, yeah, you got 2 extra zeros in
yeah.
there. I couldn't see.
And that was the same thing on number 5, too.
Yeah.
You need to double check that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just missed it, 56,000.
This is a task order for our Rio Ruidoso Watershed Base Plan. We received grant funding for this project. Ashley has already submitted the Quality Assurance Project Plan to the Environmental Protection Agency so we can move forward. This will be for Cobb Finley to go ahead and move forward with our plan to create the watershed-based plan.
And this money comes out of,
Well, Construction Bureau from NMED gave us a grant, so we got a portion of 80% from them, 20% from us. And
Okay.
the match is coming out of SGRT,
okay, that's what and this was put in for a long time ago, wasn't it?
yes.
Okay, and can you give a brief description of what we mean by the watershed study?
Okay. So the watershed-based plan, it's gonna look at all the components, the hydrological, the vegetation, and just, this will help us, reduce the impairments that are along our rivers. So it could be, E. coli, it could be the turbidity, and so we're looking at how can we improve our waterways and our natural resources just to, have a better environment. This plan will also open us up for EPA 319 funds, so we can go out for grants and just improve the watershed as a whole in different areas, not just the river.
Mayor Ashley,
Components of the water
where
system.
is, what watershed area?
We are doing I believe it's the Upper Ruidoso watershed, and so, I wish I had a map to show you. It's, it kind of goes over past Grindstone a little bit up towards the reservation, so we are gonna have to work with Mescalero, and we are gonna have to work with the Downs. It goes a little bit down into the Downs. It goes all the way up close to the Eagle Creek area, so it's we're looking at Huck 12s, so it's a massive, but it's an all-encompassing of Rito, so.
Thank you.
Okay. And then because there's the discussion is coming back around, which we will hear more about regionalization, which is not a very friendly topic around here. So there's a push again to start that over. So, anyway. And so where do you want that one?
Consent.
Okay, thank you. Number 8, discussion on change order number 1 with DNR Tank for water storage tank rehabilitation rebid ITB number 2024-001B, requesting an extension of 175 days to June 4th, 2025, and increasing contract amount by $1,565,507.75, including New Mexico GRT. So there's been a lot of discussion on this one. So you're up, Mr. Kane.
Good morning, Mayor, council members. Yeah, this is for the change order on the tank project, which has really been interesting and difficult. We start one direction and then all of a sudden we're going in a total different direction. But what we're looking at right now is we're going to change the contract a little bit. We're going to be eliminating a few of the items, which is going to be items 7 and then 14 through 20 and then 22. And 7 is the exterior on the Gavilan tank. And then items 14 through 20 is the removal of the grindstone tank. That's going to be basically the demo on the tank. And then 22 is eliminating the overcoat on the 5 mil tank. So what we did is we're working on a lot of different parts. And right now we put together a tank schedule. If everything passes, we would start in August on the little D tank. And a lot of this is based on timing, also with the temperature and the fire protection that is a big concern. So with that in place, we're gonna start on the little D tank, and then in November, if the ISO rating comes back, you know, on the grindstone tank, then we're gonna start the demo on the grindstone tank. And then, hopefully in January or February, and we're trying to get confirmation with DNR Tank right now, you know, to tie down a schedule and a time frame on the 5 mil. But we're tentatively looking at January, February to start that one. It would be after the fire protection, and the water demand would be down, so timing is critical in this project. So once we get confirmation, you know, then we should have something today, hopefully, from SMA and DNR Tank. But the Alto tank, we're looking at 4 months. So the other thing they were asking is if they could do the tanks concurrently, taking down the middle Gavilan tank and the 5 mil, but we told them no.
Everybody remembers it's strictly for fire danger. And then once we get the little D back up and take down Alto, we can bypass Alto.
Yes,
So, and then we'll still have the ability to circulate water.
correct. And then we'll have the interconnects available, the Grindstone Alto interconnect, that we can pull water from the Alto tank and move it to the Grindstone tank. And plus we have the little D that we can use until till the Gavilan tank's off. Then we won't have that available, but then we'll have other means of moving water.
Where's little D?
That's on Hull and Gavilan?
Over by the bridge.
Yeah.
And so we're paying 3 million, we're adding
I mean,
1,500,000 to the 1,000,009.
Correct.
So so are we the ones that decided that we wanted to do it a little differently?
yes. I mean, they would like to come in right
Yeah.
now and take them down because the summer's fine and the living's easy.
Right.
But because of the fire danger and all stuff, we've changed.
Yeah.
But remember, we looked at the tank up on Gavilan is they're not really sure about how bad this one's gonna be. But we looked at, replacing the tank and it was $1 million
A
Dollar a
gallon.
foot.
Dollar a gallon,
It's
yeah.
$1 million to replace just the
Yeah,
tank.
just the tank, so that's why we were looking at rehab, and they said once it's rehab, they would be good for another 20 to 50 years.
Plus, this is based on worst-case scenario. They have some items in this change order, but it doesn't mean that we'll have to do it. Once they take the tank down and they have a better view and, you know, they'll be able to see it a little bit better, you know, this could change. They might not need to do a couple of these items, but they are the worst-case scenario. And it is, of course, only gonna be charged for what's actually been done, so.
And then the grindstone one, we're gonna totally demolish and put in a new tank.
No,
No,
we're just
we-
getting rid of it.
Yeah,
Based on the ISO rating, we have plenty of storage. So once we get that confirmation, it's not necessary to have that tank. So that's part of the reason, rather than utilize funds to replace it, we'll use it for the rehabilitation of the other tanks.
And that's the 1 million.
correct.
Mayor, Randy, are we connected village-wide now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, we
So
have some
we're not
interconnects that's,
dependent upon wells, storage tanks. I mean,
Well, we are.
we are, well, what we can do is, I mean, we have different means of providing water.
Well, tell them where we did the interconnect down here at Sudworth and Meacham.
Correct.
That was, gosh, a long time ago. And then we've got a interconnect on the other end of town,
Yeah, the Cherokee.
Cherokee. So you're able to push and blend.
And then those were actually really good things that we did. So, I mean, it gives us a backup and a contingency, so. And then the nice thing is, well, it's a blessing and a curse sometimes, but we're able to pull water from different parts of the system. But sometimes when we pull water from like high school, which we use that very rarely, but we can use it, but it's real high in hardness.
Yeah.
So, and then when we make that change, people,
They know it.
they know it, so. So when we do that, we're prepared to answer questions.
Oh, Mayor Randy, you, in that list that you went through in terms of
Yes.
cost saving, you mentioned something about eliminating a recoat. Are we being penny wise and pound foolish with that or not?
I think what we had talked about is, as right now, you know, it's a big increase in price, you know, 1.5 million plus. So this way, we could eliminate these for right now and then come back and do them down the road, you know.
I guess my question is,
It's the exterior only.
Not the interior.
Interior.
You know, and our main focus is maintaining everything, the integrity of the tank inside, and, you know, everything for compliance, so.
my only question would be, is it just not wise to do it now at the price that we can guarantee, rather than waiting and having it even more expensive down the road?
I mean, that's something we could look at. We were just trying to be
No, I-
creative and look at the funding and,
And I do appreciate that, but I'm just saying, suggesting, maybe in those kind of ticket items, it might be better to do it now and bite the bullet and be done with it, than to wait and see how much more it's going to be.
What do you mean wait? You mean till August, till the end of the year?
Well, no, he said they were going to just eliminate it.
well,
Oh, you
Yeah.
mean we're talking about grindstone?
oh, no, we're talking about
Recoated.
the little D and the 5 million outside coating, so.
Well, Mr. Mayor, if I may, I have a lady that, every time she sees me, she asks, how come y'all don't paint those water tanks pretty or do something?
Well, we picked out new colors.
Yeah.
But I mean like a mural, you know?
Like Las Cruces?
Yeah, because that's
I mean,
usually,
that's what
she goes down there and goes, look, that's how,
Or Thule.
look.
Well, and that's one of the things, if elected in Otero County, they want me to get money to repaint the one in Tularosa.
So seriously, is that something that can be done? Would we ever want to even approach that?
Money.
Well, I mean, oh, absolutely, but if you had something like they did in the Midtown where they got all that money
Like
and they
James
painted,
and
yeah, it has,
Logan.
Well, I mean, it definitely looks nice. I mean, if everybody's seen the tanks in Las Cruces, I mean, they have all different murals and they're impressive. But there's a lot of maintenance that goes with that too.
Yep.
So,
And they look bad when they start.
yeah, when they start fading and stuff, it's,
Good answer, huh?
But there were new
Pass
colors
them on.
picked out that they were different. I don't even remember what they were now.
I think you and Ron helped pick out the colors.
And you know how excellent taste
Oh, my
Ron has.
Ah, yes.
It was the Ruidoso Warriors we chose.
Yeah, something to kind of match the schools. And we had a little panel of some women, of course, that helped us pick
I
them.
mean, that was one of the biggest things, like Hooker said that, that everybody drives by and, especially Little D, that has a lot of high traffic area and people go by it daily and I'm sure that's brought up quite often. So that's
We could
one.
have a message, do not feed the.
Yeah,
So on. That's something we could look at if we can find the money. Yeah, we could knock it out at the same time, but we were.
Councilor Jackson, would you like us to come back with more information on how much additional it would be, and then you could propose it? I don't know how, not for the overall art mural, but I'm saying just.
Just coating.
Yeah.
Well, they had the price right here on, number 7 and then, number 22. That's,
one of them was like 150.
It's
or-
about
$130,000
$330,000 more to do it.
yeah, with, eliminating all 3 items, it was 535,048.
No, I think, again, I don't want to lose sight of the fact that it's about the interior, the water, making sure that works, and then if something else happens on the outside, we get to that later.
Well, that's the same approach we went with, taking care of the critical items first and then working backwards.
And so the funding from this is
SGRT.
Yep.
all of it, and so we have it. And so I think in the critical nature, addressing what Counselor Jackson said, is there something you'd rather spend the 3 or the 5 on, or whatever it is, or that we must triage? But if not, I'd like to finish jobs. That's part of the legacy that we have. We start.
I'm the same way, but.
And Mayor Crawford, Christella, we also have Water Trust Board funds that are also going to be dedicated to tanks.
And we're gonna go hard after all of those this year. We just hope we can get our state representatives to help us more this time. And those of you that have a great relationship need to work that, because we got bumpkins last time
Right.
from the state rep, but to go in and talk about Water Trust Board, all these things. So everything that we see, there's so much money, you gotta go now for it all. And so we're gonna try every bit that we can to get the Water Trust Board and beat our 80 million from last year.
I believe, Phase 2 is being funded by Water
Yeah,
Trust.
that phase
so
has already been funded, or will be funded, we've been
So.
approved, so that funding will come through. for
That'll
phase
help
2.
out a lot too.
But that doesn't include anything that we have here, but, I could talk with Judy and see where we are with SGRT. We had another large increase on the Upper Canyon than we expected, so I'd like to really take a look at and see where we are funding wise.
On the diversion?
Yeah, because we want to get that done.
We have the funding for both, but I always like to keep a little bit for an emergency, so I could double check and see where we are and then come back with that information.
Thank you.
But with everything set up with this plan, if we have to pump water, Adam gave us, or you gave us, an estimate during the Little Bear Fire and also the McBride Fire that we didn't really use that much of our water. And
Yeah, well,
so,
our tanks weren't really affected.
but it wasn't in town.
Mayor, Randy, off topic, they, on this Blue 2 fire,
Yes.
the water they were dropping, where did that come from?
I think from Bonita.
Bonita is what we were told mostly. Eric?
So it was from Bonita Lake as well as Eagle Lake.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
And then they also had 2 pumpkins, which are these large water, like inflatable pools over at the OES office that they were also digging from.
so getting back to Counselor Jackson's comment, I think what you're saying is if we're gonna have to paint them.
Right.
And the prices are only gonna go up, so
Why not bite the bullet?
why
and
not do
now?
it now?
Yeah.
And also, I think it might help, when we raise these rates, if citizens see something.
Even though one didn't have anything to do with the other, but
Yeah.
one thing we've seen in paint lately, and we've all talked about it, Ron and Adam, and we've talked to the DOT. They're not making paint with oil base anymore. So that's why you see like the striping in Upper Canyon that we just did is already gone. Paradise Canyon's already gone, going. And so when we talked to them, they said it's the environmental part. Don't put oily paint on an oily road, for goodness sakes.
No.
But the paint's the same way. And you know how the older paints lasted forever.
Yes.
Yep.
So, I agree. Who knows what we'll be painting with?
So Mayor, my question is, on the first RFP, was it not included for the engineer to do the lead abatement?
I think they had it set up in the addendums.
I think what happened is it was set up, but when they went into the tanks and did a second, when they went in and saw that there was a lot more damage, it
Okay.
cost, they came back with large cost, a lot more, and we were trying to find ways to make it work. So we started cutting things that we didn't think were as important as the integrity of the tank, so.
Okay,
that's-
but it was included
It was,
in
yeah,
that,
in
I
the-
think
that's my question.
Addendums, I think.
Yeah, because it
Okay.
was, what, if they identified it as lead-based paint, it was gonna be this much, if it was just regular. So, yeah, we had it all, it was all spelled out in there. in the
Okay.
RFP.
And what they also did, once we went into Grindstone and we drained it and they cut the hatch, they went inside and did a dry inspection. They actually found a lot more damage to the tank and things that really weren't identified in the inspection, a couple of years ago. Because a lot of this was based on previous diving inspections. And of course, you get a better inspection when you do dry versus wet.
Oh, yeah.
But then what we talked about, so we wouldn't have this problem with the other tanks, is we would do another inspection. And they wanted us to drain the 5 mil and the 1 mil, but we couldn't do it. So they proposed to do an inspection with an ROV. And, and they did it on their own dime too. And they came in and did the further inspections on the 5 mil and the 1 mil tank. So and that's where they found a lot of additional items. And I know a lot has changed in the Gavilan tank, because when we were out there initially looking at the tanks with DNR, they popped the top and some of the rafters had dropped. And that wasn't identified in the previous inspection, so this one's complex, but I think we got a good plan in place.
I saw the price for a bolt on the rafters at $125 at Alto, and there must be over 100 bolts in there.
And I figured I'm in the wrong business.
Yeah, that's where,
So, I know some of these prices, they're high, but one thing about it is they did also pretty much guarantee that once they go through the tank, it's gonna be like a brand-new tank on the inside. And, the outside will be coated if we go that route, so.
Would you like us to, if we are able to verify that we have the funds with Judy, or would you like us to come back with the change order, adding back in the recording?
I think so, from my perspective, yes.
Too.
yes.
Yeah, let's just knock it out, because it ain't getting any cheaper.
Just be thankful it didn't have medical attached to those bolts, so they'd have been $250.
Yeah, or fire.
Good point.
So this will probably be regular then.
Yep, regular item and
Yes.
the liquidated damages section's in there. So we'll have to apply the extension of dates and everything. It's
Oh,
like 1,500 a day or something.
The last thing I wanted to mention is we put 175 days in there, and I think that pushes it to June, but that could change a little bit. Once we get confirmation, that should solidify.
Well, one of the company's big concern was mobilization. They were worried they were gonna get snowed in if we
yeah.
only, it's like, well, I don't know what you're thinking about, but. And that's when Adam, Lord willing, if we get a bunch, then he can put some millings down up there and they can get in and whatever, so I was,
Snowshoes.
yeah. Okay, so that one will be regular. Item number
Randy.
8 is regular. Thank you, Randy. Ashley? All right. I hit the bigger button.
I think Christella has most of the meetings, so we may just,
We're done at, I think we're done at 10.
Yes.
Hopefully not this morning.
We're almost there.
Let's see, where are we at? Number 9.
Yeah.
Discussion on award of ITB, number 2024-010B for Upper Canyon Diversion Development to Spartan Construction in the amount of $2,024,887.16, including New Mexico GRT.
So this is for the rehabilitation of the Upper Canyon surface diversion. We did have one bidder. Our bid opening did happen on May 17th. We did do an engineer's estimate. It was reasonable, considering the original engineer's estimate was done several years ago and the cost of inflation, and Marty Howell overlooked everything and he said it was pretty reasonable.
Is this, had a little conversation with an owner?
Yeah,
Okay, yes.
they've been meeting with Mr.
Yes.
Cates and the spokesman, and he's the
Thank you very
spokesman for the
much.
entire Upper Canyon.
Yes. So, so you were, so it was just the engineer looking at things?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay, because he was upset because we didn't.
we went out there, Adam and I, we went out there, met with him,
Yeah,
and
he told me.
we discussed the project, and he's.
Well, what happened, rumor mill caught him again.
I know.
Because he had heard that we were already getting ready to do this, and we haven't, and so we hadn't called and told him, even though we had told him way back in, it was being postponed. So these guys did a great job with Mr. Cates and the group and went and met with them, and
He was
we just
very-
need to make sure we keep them super informed.
and Mayor and Ashley, we're looking at September when we start the project, so that's what
And
we need
that's
to.
what I told him. I said, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be until September.
Correct, per our permits, we have to, do work outside of high flows.
Yeah.
Mayor Crawford, Councilor Letterman, he did email us all a
Yes,
few
he
nights
did.
ago, and he
Yes.
was very appreciative of the
Yes.
staff visiting with him, so.
Ashley, Adam, thank you very much.
And they also gave him a copy of the plan, so he'd be able to see what we were gonna be doing. So he's fully aware, and we'll make sure that we continue to be in contact.
You know, the thing about it is if he's an advocate, then he'll be an advocate to the people right there. So,
10-4.
yeah, that's a good thing. So thank you very much.
On the Upper Canyon note, did we get the bathrooms and stuff, is that scheduled to be removed up there above Second Bridge? And that beat-up sign? Okay.
You know, and at the end of the main road in Upper Canyon, it used to be just a turnaround. People are parking everywhere now. You can't even, Tom and I were up there this weekend, and the cars were everywhere, and one car was even parked by the sign that said no.
Parking?
I don't know. But anyway, that used to be my spot that I looked up the river, and now you can't even look up the river because there's too many people.
And all the locals say, go early May. That's what the tourism department always says.
Well, that's a seasonal thing.
Yeah.
I go every season. That's a pretty place right there.
Okay, so any questions on that?
No.
Consent.
Consent?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 10, discussion on the E EJCDC 520 agreement between the Village of Ruidoso and Spartan Construction of New Mexico LLC for the Upper Canyon Diversion Development awarded via invitation to bid ITB 2024-010B in the amount of $2,024,887.16, including New Mexico GRT.
This is just the contract for the award from the last one.
Yeah, consent.
Consent?
Could I recommend regular? So that, because we just talked about it and I mean, the award is there, the first one could be consent, but now we could actually talk. It's starting in September, that
Sure.
kind of information, so that way we're getting it out more and
Okay.
to the public, that because I thought about that
Everybody good with
earlier.
that?
And that's,
Yeah, sure.
just so that it could be more public knowledge of what we're doing with $2
And we
million.
haven't, I don't really remember us doing a whole lot with Spartan. And I think they're out of Albuquerque, is that what? El Paso? Okay. Because I know they're a New Mexico company. They have a LLC in New Mexico.
They were the only ones that bid.
Yeah. And that's getting more and more from the people we hear around the state, they're getting
Yeah.
no bids
Getting really,
on their projects. They've got the money, they've got everything, but no bids. So count your blessings, name them one by one, because we're very fortunate. Item number, what did we say? Regular?
Regular.
Okay, item number 11, discussion on agreement with Desert Wind Enterprises LLC through Cooperative Educational Services, CES price agreement number 2023-08 R2 110, all of micro surfacing pavement process on Paradise Canyon Road in the amount of $113,218.03, including New Mexico GRT. And I know you are asking the same question I was. We just finished that.
right.
Why are we having to do this? And it's a process I'm not familiar with, so, yes, sir, Mr. Adam.
Mayor, Council, so we do have some monies left over from the grant that Ron's kind of set aside. When we did Paradise and we did the Cutler repaving, we had the rains, so we got the moisture underneath, and then right before that, we had done the service lines, so, some of the rains had messed up the cuts across the street. So what we're proposing is to go in and actually fix some of the bad spots, and the microsurfacing is a real small aggregate, and it'll be like a 1.5 inch overlay per se, to actually seal the road. So instead of doing like a chip seal, it'll actually, it's more oil and more like a crusher fine to actually seal the road and make it look better.
And this is just in spots?
This will be the whole road.
The whole road from
Paradise, or from Sudderth to Country Club.
for a hundred, I mean, how they doing that so cheap compared to everything else?
I've talked to, during the circle meetings, I've talked to a couple of people from like Artesia and some other parts, and they've used it, and they said they love it. And I took them up to like Brady Canyon also, and some of their upper parts, and he said it's not a problem. It'll seal it and it'll make it look really good.
But the water won't, like, when we have snow and then we put salt down, is that easier to have potholes then?
It's gonna, I mean, the salt and the plowing's gonna eat it no matter what. This is just more of resurface, but it'll last a lot longer than doing like a chip seal, because the chip seal, you're just laying down the oil and then the rocks. So when you go through and blade it, you're gonna get the potholes. This is more of it's like doing another layer of asphalt, but it's a finer aggregate, so you don't have the big rocks and the voids in it.
Yeah.
And Mayor and Council, this is just a new process, and we've had some discussion on this, trying to find some ways too with village roadways, and see how it works. I know the county's used it on some roads and other entities are using it, and we might be able to do some of the other areas of town and try this, so. And as you stated, Mayor, the cost of it is less than some of the other processes, but this is the balance of the Local Transportation Fund grant that we received several years ago, and it's dedicated to Paradise, Gavilan, and Warrior Drive, so we need to use it in that same area, project area, so.
Since streets is always a big issue, do you want
Regular, I
to
think.
regular on them?
I think so.
And
The only
also for the reason that people will know why we're
Redoing
restricting.
it? Yeah, stopping traffic.
Stop and go and all that.
Yep.
On another note, I get the question, when are we gonna strike Country Club?
Our striper actually went down. They're fixing it right now, so as soon as they get it back up and running, we'll be striping it.
Okay, any idea how
I'd say in
long?
the next 2 weeks,
Okay,
I'm shooting for.
And again, the paint is in.
yeah,
And we have paint, but like the mayor said,
it'll
it's,
be gone after the first rain.
It's
Boy,
terrible.
it sure is nice.
Okay, so what do you want that regular? Item number 12, discussion on memorandum of understanding between the Village of Ruidoso and the New Mexico Department of Finance and Administration for the New Mexico E911 program grant to fund the public safety answering points, PSAPs, at the Village of Ruidoso and the Mescalero Apache Reservation for the period of time between July 1, 2024 and June 30th, 2025.
Mr. Mayor, Council, this is the yearly agreement that we have signed between Mescalero and Ruidoso PD. This has been going on for many years because Otero County did not have a PSAP at the time. They did not have a consolidated dispatch. They just recently formed a consolidated dispatch down there, so this could be our last year that we're
That's
involved
not in
with this grant.
operation, I don't think, is it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is in
Yes.
operation?
So Otero County and Alamogordo Police Department, they did go in as a consolidated dispatch. The only one in Otero County that is not part of it is Tularosa at the time, or for right now. And Mescalero isn't part of it either, but this could be our last year that we are responsible for this grant.
Okay.
And what the grant covers is their schooling and some other stuff that the DFA, their recording equipment and other things. We are basically the fiscal agent for it. We sign off on it, send it to Santa Fe, but we don't get no benefit from it.
It's just a flow through.
Yes, exactly.
Consent?
Consent.
Thank you, Chief. Item number 13, discussion on biennial memorandum of understanding between the New Mexico Main Street Program, Village of Ruidoso, and Ruidoso Midtown Associates to dedicate collaborative resources, adopt local economic growth and revitalization tools, and establish economic development funding for operations and program implementation to restore economic vitality within the Main Street Economic Redevelopment District from July 1, 2024 to June 30th, 2026.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor and Council. This MOU is for our 2-year continued support of our New Mexico Main Street Partnership.
Okay, and so how about consent on this one, and then we'll look at 14 to talk about it?
That's what I was
Mayor, I've got a couple.
Yes, sir.
questions. Eddie, who is running Main Street?
Good question.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Never,
Stephanie Leland. She is our executive.
I tried reaching out to her, she never responded.
Okay.
Ron, can we, at some point in the near future, get a report on what's happening?
Mayor Crawford, Councilor Corey, I believe they should be here for this meeting to give a report so they should be here at the meeting. We have that already set where they need to report to council and at least twice a year, even quarterly. So I believe that's a great idea. We should have them and on the manager report and give an update.
Yeah, they're supposed to be here next week to go over this because we've had some issues ever since we've started this thing. And it's, even though it's sponsored by the village, it's ran independently and we do a small funding. And then going to the Main Street and all the different things that we've worked in conjunction with. And we start and then it falls off. But we've got local business folks down there that have a vested interest in the Midtown area that sit on a board. And we've educated, we've done some things, and then only to find out that we haven't done anything. But we have real concerns with this, and I've contacted the board members. They've expressed it themselves too, that it needs somebody full-time.
As you may recall, this was a passion of mine when I worked for the village, and I was just kind of disappointed because I haven't heard what's happening. What's the designation of our Main Street? Is it still emerging? Or?
I apologize, what is that?
It's not emerging. We're kind of back at the emerging status, aren't we? We're building, merging.
Eddie, there's different categories for your Main Street designation. And originally, we were emerging, but I don't know whatever happened.
I don't know, I can find out for you on that.
We actually got to a point where we were recognized. We had the Main Street meeting here at the Convention Center. We're recognized for all the things that we'd moved forward. And then they changed directors, and we've had a lot of issues there with passwords and information and who's on first. And then we've got this gal who's very good at what she does, but she has a full-time job working for one of the board members.
And Mayor and Council, they're in the process of having a new board. You know, they're going through their,
Yep.
through their cycle on that, so, I don't know if we have a list yet of the new board members. We need to have that and have her here to explain. She was at the lodger's tax meeting trying to, was requesting funds for RMA, and she was there at that meeting, so.
She worked for,
Outback,
Metro.
what's it,
Yeah,
Outback, the four-wheelers?
Side by side,
What's the name of it?
backcountry, yeah.
Attitudes.
Oh, okay.
For Lance Rowe and his wife.
She's Suzanne Dennehy's daughter.
Yeah.
They currently have 3 open seats right now for their board, and they have 12 people who are interested in
Oh, nice.
running for that.
Because I know there was, the ones that are on there, like, I don't want the cheese, I want my head out of the trap, you know, when they got into it. And we've tried counseling with them, and they're like, geez, I don't want nothing to do with this.
Yeah,
Ron, thanks.
But it's gonna take some work. So we'll put number 13 on
Consent.
consent,
14 for regular?
yeah, and then 14 for regular, because they're asking,
In mayor and council, we'll have another, we should have another agreement directly just between the village and Ruidoso Main Street Association. If Eddie and Mike are working on that, so that should be an additional item that's gonna be, and we'll put that as regular also.
Thank you.
Well, to have a Main Street person, we're sending our people, we're paying Main Street, and yet we're sending our people to help communicate.
well, and we always need a liaison there. I know when I first was Mayor Pro Tem, I showed up at some of the meetings and they didn't
They
want us
kicked you
there.
out,
Yeah, they
didn't they?
kicked Debbie and I out.
You're
And so-
biting the hand that feeds.
Well, and I said, y'all don't even understand this. And so we had a sit-to meeting, and we had several of them that quit after that. And then we started over to understand that we're a support system, but there are requirements, and that we do require, just like we do with every department.
Yes.
And then we get the pushback. So, and the 35,000 is what we've done, and they're asking for a,
Mayor and council, that it's, next year, it's going up to 46,000.
and so we definitely need to see results.
Yes.
Yeah,
You know, we started out with Chili the Kid, then there was discussion over who owns Chili the Kid. And then they moved it back out to the track. And there's just and then some issues that Parks and Rec did that they got credit for. So we just need to make sure they're doing theirs.
And Brudoso's been moved, hasn't it?
I don't know, where is Brudoso?
Right, that's, I meant moved date-wise, sorry.
Okay. So, discussion on adoption of resolution 2024-20, a resolution financial support and funding commitment to the Ruidoso Main Street Association fiscal year 2024 through 2025 in the amount of $35,000. So we'll put that one on
It's regular.
regular item.
okay.
Item number 15, discussion on MOA, Memorandum of Agreement between the Village of Ruidoso and Outdoor New Mexico, a 501c3 organization to sponsor the 2026 New Mexico Outdoor Economics Conference in the amount of $70,000. Okay, does anybody have any questions on this one?
Nope.
This one is the conference that is hosted by Senator Jeff Steinborn. It is the leading conference for outdoor recreation in the state of Mexico. It has about 2,000 people attending it, and it's mostly all decision makers and government officials coming from New Mexico to attend. I went to it in Santa Fe this last year, and it was a great networking event. And being that all the exciting things that we have coming up with, you know, the triathlons and other stuff we're working on, it really helps us build that momentum that we're trying to create.
Is this paid by lodger's tax?
This here is, what was that?
Partially.
Partially, yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I'm working with Mike and Judy on that as far as being paid. So I imagine it'll be partially lodger's tax money.
Eddie, when's the date again on that, in 25?
It's January 23rd, 2026.
Okay, that's early, okay.
Yeah,
January?
Man,
Yeah, 2026.
Usually they're in the summer.
that's what I thought it was gonna be like in
Or in the
end of
spring,
September.
remember, like in,
The one
It's gonna be cold.
we're hosting a sponsorship opportunity for the upcoming one in Las Cruces, which is September 23rd. So that's the one coming up in Las Cruces for this year.
January's gonna be tough.
Yeah, I don't know why. That cuts out a lot of the outdoor activities that you usually do it, or they have at some of these.
Yeah, that's what they, I guess, are moving their dates to, so January of 2026.
Oh, 2026.
26 is going to be a big year.
yep.
Anybody have any questions?
Consent?
Consent? Okay.
Consent.
16, discussion on third renewal agreement with Zach Cook LLC for professional services and general counsel for the Village of Ruidoso, and it does not include his fee for Facebook comments. Where is Zach?
Mayor, council, he had a hearing here. He's in one of the offices, so.
Okay.
But this is just the renewal for his contract. It's remaining the same, so.
When will that go out again?
Yes, but as we've done the last several years, that's through the state statute. That's one office that is appointed. So we don't need to go through RFP on that, so.
Consent?
Consent.
Jerry.
Item number 17, discussion on award of ITB 2024-009B for green waste disposal to the Universal Waste System, Inc. in the amount of $660,000, including New Mexico GRT.
Good morning, Mayor, councilors. As you well know, Sierra Contracting was bought out by this company, Universal Waste. And this is where we dispose of our green waste at. So now we're trying to get a contract with them
And it's much more expensive than it was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
so we can continue to dispose of our green waste, brush, pine needles.
And if you hadn't been out there, I took a little trip with the folks from Angel Fire because they're eat up with slash and they can't get rid of it. It's a big, huge expense for them. So these guys have that, it's called Hogzilla.
Yeah.
And it's
Ernie
a big bowl.
told me y'all went and did
Yeah,
that.
what's it called, a bowl grinder? But they've broke it out now, where before they would throw stumps and everything in this thing. I mean, it's huge. And it spits out whatever size of screenings that they want for mulch, that then they turn around and bring a bunch back. But they've got mountains of it out there. So, you know, with the services that we provide, it comes back to level of services that was, now that was included, this hasn't been included in our rate study, this new pricing.
Judy Costella?
That was one of the things that was brought up, potentially having us look into destroying our own waste to have mulch and have that kind of stuff. One of their suggestions.
As a hooker, one of those grinders is like 2-point-something million.
Right, yeah.
Right off the bat.
And this is there's the biggest one in the United States, and there's two of them.
Yeah, Van Patten was gonna get it.
He got it. That's, Van Patten bought it out of California. A company went bankrupt, and then Universal Waste has it now. And they have a smaller one, too.
That's broke all the time.
Broke all the time. But this big one, they can dump stumps in it, and it'll even crush some rocks and things like that. But, so what they're trying to do is get all of our stuff caught up, and then Angel Fire wants to have them come up and do a bunch of theirs. Angel Fire received how many millions of dollars?
Ooh, I think it was like, what, 10 million?
10 or something million dollars, so
With
they're
all that-
looking at buying one of their own, but then trying to find somebody to operate it.
Operate it.
He's
and
called,
repair it.
because I got to know those mayors really well. We've had them down, and by the way, they're super impressed with what you do, water department, fire department, everything. You know, we forget just how hard we work sometimes because it's every day.
Yeah.
But they said that what you guys and all of our
Difference.
staff does a big, huge.
Jerry, is this company going to give back to the community with mulch?
That's gonna stay.
Yeah, that's,
Okay,
That's all gonna stay.
okay,
yeah, that stays, they'd love to get rid of a bunch more of
Parks
it.
and recs and
yeah,
everything.
okay.
Yep. So you want to put item 17 on consent, and we'll do 18 on,
Regular.
Regular,
Okay.
yeah.
So Mayor, Jerry, since the takeover, how's the service been on receiving all the waste?
It's all the same people. We
So
already
it's,
got along
it's
with
all
them.
no problem,
Jared
no,
Jensen and all them, we like them.
Yeah,
okay.
They really, ever since, Paul left and Jared took over,
he's great.
Paul Witzel left.
Yeah, I knew that.
Jason is, Jared has been awesome for us.
He's
Okay,
got a
good.
great attitude.
They come over and borrow stuff from us and, I mean, my personal stuff.
Right.
But, anyhow, yeah, we have a very good relationship with them.
Their vocabulary is always yes, every time we
yeah, that's pretty nice.
ask them. And I can tell you, the people in the county have noticed the service change too. So, all right, thank you for that.
Thanks, Jerry.
Then we'll move on
I'd
to,
like to say something to the mayor, council.
you bet.
Nobody ever, like Yvonne and Andrea and Christy in the back, all the help that they give, we're very thankful to have them putting all this stuff together and everything. They're always so much help. I just wanted to publicly say that.
Well, thank you. I know they
Thank you, Jerry.
appreciate it. We do too.
And Robin and your guys are
Yeah, Robin,
wonderful.
always.
Thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. So we can look at the standard setup for the agenda. Approval of governing body minutes, May 14th, special meeting, May 21st, workshop the 30th, June 4th today. Item number 2 will be approval of request to schedule a public hearing on July 9th, 2024 for ordinance 2024-04, amending the Village of Ruidoso Code of Ordinance, Chapter 86 Utilities, specifically Sections 86-1 through 86-12, and Sections 86-31 through 86-33, Section 86-63, and providing for Appendix U, water rate structure, and Appendix A, fines, fees, penalties, Chapter 70, solid waste, specifically Section 70. So we've already gone through this. I've just wasted your time for a few more minutes, but sorry. And we'll have public input, mayoral reports, of course, the really great part, the new employees and promotions. We'll have a U.S. Forestry update.
And Mayor Crawford, members of the council, I've asked Jennifer, she may be out of town, but we'll work with her and see what her schedule is. If
Yeah, I know
not
she's
June, it'll be
been-
July.
Taking a lot of time off after throwing her under the bus like they did to her. So, and we've talked to her,
Yes.
and
Is she doing okay?
she seems to be doing better, but you can tell she's burnt. She's very taken back.
That was a complete cluster.
It was, and I didn't realize that it was all on YouTube and everything, because I've gotten a lot of comments
Oh,
about
was
that.
it?
Somebody filmed it, put it on YouTube, and they were saying, I think you did great, but you should have just lowered the boom on that, what was her name, Yellow Jacket?
The PIO?
PIO
That was, Margot.
Yeah, they were,
She quit?
no, they moved her out.
Oh,
Yeah, her last- So that was pretty tough on her, but we've tried to reassure, and she's.
Wow, that was incredibly classy of you to reach.
Oh, well, thank you. I can tell she's whooped, man. I mean, when I call and try to talk to her, she says, well, Mayor, I don't know. And so, anyway, and then we'll get an update on our clean and lean, another beautiful example of I before E, except for after C, but sometimes.
We'll have Bobby Simpson here for that, so.
And Bobby's been, the one that people are calling on, I know you are hearing about it, on Suttereth, over by Tanner Traditions, across the street from Sitzmark and where Yee's was at, the old gas station, it's a dump ground behind it, that he'll give us an update on that because their letter that was sent out for compliance and action should be expiring today or whenever.
Is that still Schellenberger's?
No, he never actually bought it. It was a guy named Andy Grooms, and then I've been since told that it was sold to the guy that does, the little red roll-offs that were everywhere. We had to work with him to start.
Was it Mountain Man or something?
Mountain Man.
Yep.
So I'm under the understanding that they own it, but it's turned into a dump ground right there on our main street. So we're after them to get that cleaned up. So if anybody else calls you, that we have started the process and that we'll get an update. If you'll make a note of that for Bobby.
And Chief Chavez, if you'll let
Bobby
we'll let
know
Bobby
that
know.
we really want to get caught up on that. Okay. Then reports from municipal officials, public hearings. And this is on the anonymous surrender of infants, allowing persons to leave infants not more than 90 days of age in safety devices for surrender
Did
under
you see
certain conditions.
they had a baby dropped off in Hobbs?
Already. Wow. I know people that are trying to adopt, can't find.
But we make it so hard, to adopt, and we give back to a parent that is abusive anyway.
We know some that are trying to get them from Poland right now that have been ripped off, and they go over to pick them up, and it's another 20 here, another 25 here. Then we'll have closed session, which we'll have some items, and hopefully we'll have a victory lap to take on some of that, on some of the issues that we've been working on that are still in the weeds. And we got the final agreement today?
Haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
You were talking about the one?
Yes, we need to get it in, get it back. 'cause
I was
think we
checking my
finally got it.
emails already, Mayor, just to see if that came in or not from AJ.
And, well, hopefully on the new employees, we'll get to announce that we got somebody new
I hope so.
in the offices back there.
And Mayor, a couple other things on the boards and commission appointments.
Yes?
We did receive an application yesterday for KRB. It's in your box. And then I don't have the status on the library one,
Okay,
but I'll check on that.
okay.
And then we will have the agency's contract on here also,
Okay.
not for the.
Which one, the PIO or the marketing?
The marketing.
Okay,
I think that, and then possibly Airport Advisory Board member Dave Stepp may be making a presentation.
About the Oshkosh and Mayor and Council, we did get all the.
swag, almost
Yes,
all of it.
Almost all of it, but some pretty nice stuff there, so.
That we're sending, and the state aviation's gonna take it down for us, and then Steps, who's the vice chair of the airport board, he and his wife are flying down, and they're gonna man a booth and hand out Ruidoso swag, talking about our upcoming drive-in fly-ins and some of that stuff. Does anybody else have anything that we can think of? No? Okay. All right, well then, we'll call this meeting adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, good luck today. Thank you.
Yes, sir. What? Yeah, that's basically a portal that NMED set up for all the operators. So everybody can go in and do their training credits and even put in their exam, so. Yeah, and I think it kicks off today, or it's open today, so.